Hello my loves, continue to update new stories on Reddit, and don't forget if you like it, please subscribe and like it. Now let's start new stories. Story, IF23 had my first time with M28 on vacation. Now he is staying in my country. Almost sure he is involved in illegal stuff. What to do? The reason I held on to my virginity until very recently is 'cause I just wanted to lose it with someone I really felt attracted to. Both physically and energy-wise. I am a party girl in the sense that I go out clubbing every week, and as a normal-looking beautiful girl I get approached a lot, but no one ever caught my eye the way this guy X did. I met X on vacation in Spain a month ago. He approached me like a gentleman, and this plus his insane attractiveness just got me. Long story short, he was my first that night. I still can't believe the intensity of it all. I spent the rest of my 8-day vacation sleeping with him the whole time. We would hang out together every day. I literally never felt anything like this. With him I felt like in a movie. In those 8 days I experienced so many crazy things. I would never imagine I'd do stuff like that so soon. We had S3X and a taxi at the shopping center on a random street. I am not proud of what I did. I know some of it is totally dumb and irresponsible, but I'll be honest, I was in complete ecstasy and like I was mentally not really on Earth. I felt Drew 99 ed even when sober. That's the effect the attraction I felt to him had. The issue comes now, while I was there just shortly I couldn't not notice a certain lifestyle he seems to live. He tried to hide it, but my friend, who was very awake and present, confirmed my suspicions 100%. He seems to not have a real job but has a very, very nice place. Lots of cash. Some type of tattoos. 3 nice, expensive cars parked in his garage. The way people greet him. The talking in people's ears. He's from Albania, I am Italian. We have so many similarities in culture. There are some patterns I can't help but recognize. My dad was a DR2G dealer for 20 years of his life. He ended up in jail when I was 9. I know the signs. I can smell these people. I know X has shady stuff going on. I stalked his old FaceApp 00K profile and I found some evidence he may have been in prison before. A week ago he landed in my country, here in Germany. He had a friend come pick him up. The same friend rented him a nice car for his whole stay here, 2 months. After he got to his Airbnb and got ready he came to pick me up and it was fireworks, even more than when I last saw him. Our chemistry has done nothing but grow like crazy in the last week. And that's so scary. We have been spending a lot of time together and he has been an angel to me. He seems to know his way around here. He takes me to nice places and just doesn't seem like a foreigner, how to say. He also knows lots of people. He has meetings with his friends at least twice a day. I once accidentally happened to see 2 of these guys from far and they seemed like 2 regular business people in suits. When he is not with me, he's driving around the city and going to see his cousins or friends. He is busy. He is busy in a city where he doesn't live? In a city where he wasn't even supposed to be. He doesn't work either. When we were on vacation I asked where he worked and he told me he works for his uncle's constructions company. I couldn't keep myself from immediately looking at his hands, which are super clean. He noticed and said he's been in sick leave for 2 months now cause of an injury in his leg. His leg works perfectly fine, his phone is also buzzing so often. His main used app is Signal, which is an app that can't be traced. The issue is that while in just 1 week all these suspicions are getting bigger. Our bond is growing. He isn't love bombing me. He isn't talking about big things nor promising me the world or other stuff that would immediately make my alarm bells ring. But he's showing me affection and respect. We are sleeping together more than once a day. And each time gets more intense. We are getting to know each other. He had a similar childhood than mine. But I didn't actually tell him about my dad. He seems emotionally intelligent and mature. I've explained to him that it's not the fact that he was my first that makes him special. It's the unexplainable energy and attraction I feel. He stimulates me in ways I've never been stimulated before. He's not fake. He seems to be so genuine and authentic. We've had so many conversations and I feel like I always learn something from him. He has been here for a week and he's already learned some German phrases. I know it may seem like nothing, but all these qualities are what makes my attraction grow. He is an absolute social butterfly. He has only met my two best friends yet, and shortly too, but they absolutely love him. I am experiencing things with him I've never done. Of all sorts. And all of this in such short time. Also, the sexual aspect is out of this world. I've talked with my girlfriends. Most of them had lots of experience. They can't believe what I tell them. Every time we do it, I am his only focus. Again and again. He lets me take care of him after I've finished again and again and again. And the aftercare and the mental play. He's even well acculturated about segs and kinks of all sorts. LOL, I have been gaining so much knowledge thanks to him. I know we are at the very start of everything. I know he also has bad sides. I am not naive. I know he isn't perfect. For example, I am quite sure he is pretty jealous, and if we'd ever have to be in a relationship, things wouldn't be easy for sure. And I am not even saying we have to end up together. I am not that type of dreamy girl, LOL. I have never had a relationship in 23 years and relationships aren't my absolute end goal at all. I know this could all be just an experience. Just trying to put into words that I am not a gullible idiot. I know that we both have intense chemistry, and that for sure I have never felt this way about anyone. I don't know what the future holds. But I do know that I am almost sure he is involved in criminal activity. And at high level, dare I say. And I feel like I am disappointing my inner child and betraying myself, willingly engaging in spending my time with someone that does the same thing my dad did. He will be staying in my city for almost 2 months. After that he'll be going to Spain and then Albania, and then he plans to come back to me. We haven't talked about the future per se, 'cause he said he doesn't want to love bomb me and influence me with big words, seeing that I am inexperienced and etc. But I see that he is investing his time in me and he's putting in the effort. I think he low-key implied in a conversation we had that he would be okay with permanently coming to live here and going back to Spain once every 3 months for 1 to 2 weeks. He said he has connections and he'd find a workplace with 0 issues. I don't know what's the right thing to do. If I should talk to him about my suspicions or not. How I should behave, seeing that the potential of things getting serious is there. I need help and advice. I lost my virginity at 23 to a 28-year-old man I met on vacation in Spain. We had an intense connection and spent the entire vacation together. He has now visited me in Germany, and I suspect he's involved in illegal activities similar to those my drug-dealing father was involved in. Despite his questionable lifestyle, our chemistry is growing, and I'm unsure if I should address my suspicions or continue the relationship. Story: is he, 23M, faking loving me, 25F, or do I just not know what love is? I had been seeing this guy for about a year. I say seeing because it was never anything real. We started as friends turned exclusive title-less relationship. All of this to say, it started very casual and then got very intense very fast, but never official. I am very much in love with him, and I think I have been the whole time. He insists he has never felt anything for me. But this just doesn't make sense to me. This man acts like he loves me. He pulls me into him every night in his sleep, kisses my forehead, tells me how much he cares about me and all the ways I make his life better. He opens up to me and trusts me. He smiles when I'm holding him when he thinks I can't see. We've talked for 20 hours straight on more than one occasion. Gets sad when I have to go and asks me to stay. Goes out of his way to make me happy. Is sure to celebrate big achievements and occasions with me. Absent-mindedly grabs my hand and plays with my hair. Drops everything the moment I look a little upset. Notices little mundane things about me like how I like extra butter on my toast. Says he wants to know everything about me. dresses up for me, asks me to do a spin every time I wear a dress, puts effort into making time for me to see and talk to me every day. Even when he lost his voice, he still called me every day and texted me, "I don't care that I can't speak. Seeing your face and listening to you is enough." He even drove me across the country to meet his whole family. And it's more than this exhaustive list, it's just the way that he is. The way he looks at me, the way he talks to me, the way he holds me, and how he treats me. He acts and does and says things that you just would never think to act or do or say if you weren't in love. But he doesn't want to date me. He says this is just a really good friendship and he just doesn't feel anything. He's told me he just feels so comfortable with me, and happy, and cared for. But this isn't what he thinks love is. He thinks it's missing something, that exciting feeling you get in your gut. This is when it's worth mentioning that he's never been in a relationship. He's only had crushes. And he's never gotten to the point where that initial infatuation fades into a comfortable, deep love. I've tried explaining the feeling he's describing is the thrill of the chase, and he never had to chase me because I just love him, but can't take my word for it. So, my question is this love, or am I crazy? I am not looking for advice on staying or leaving, as I'm a few years out of this now, that just can't get this question out of my head. I just want to know why someone would do all of these things and act truly in love, but say they don't have feelings? Is he just not emotionally aware? Or do I have the wrong idea of what love is? New to Reddit, so sorry if I've done anything wrong. Just want to hear other people's experiences, especially if you've been on the other end and acting in love without feeling it. Story, is it time to let go? My BF, 20-year-old, and I, 19-year-old, have been dating for over a year now. Our relationship is drastically different from when we started dating. Side note, we have been long distance this whole time, but we'll be meeting soon. I just feel like I love him way more than he does, and his actions don't reciprocate. He claims to love me more, but I express it way more than he does. Initially, he would spam my phone with messages, send me updates all throughout the day, send me random appreciation paragraphs, express how he's feeling to me all the time. He doesn't do that anymore. I used to do that too, and at the start we would match each other's energies. Now I still do all of this, but he doesn't reciprocate, nor does he show appreciation. For example, I send him cute selfies and new dates throughout the day on Snap. He sees them like 2 to 3 days later, claiming he doesn't use Snap that much. I text him, he takes hours to reply. His replies aren't the best. We do video call every day and he says he's a bad texter, but I've seen how nice of a texter he was at the start of our relationship. Whenever we argue, things get very heated, and he tends to say hurtful things to me. Yes, I get angry too, but I don't hurt him as bad. Despite his reassurance, some things are hard for me to get over. I reassure him all the time, give him updates without him having to ask, and shower him with affection. That's all I want in return. I constantly express to him how I miss that clingy energy, and now I just feel like I'm being clingy and desperate when I'm not even like that as a person. He says he will change himself, but he doesn't. Even in arguments, he hurts me a lot at times and it just feels horrible after. I love him so much. I've never ever had this much admiration for anyone in my life ever. I know he loves me too, but I just feel like I shouldn't have to beg for the love I deserve. I once did bring up the topic of breaking up, and he went insane practically. He constantly says that his life has no meaning without me. I'm more than happy to spend the rest of my life with this boy, but if it comes at a cost of not being loved in the way that I love him, I just feel like I need to reconsider. Off late, I feel like I've just been drained out and have been starting to slowly pull away from him. He is noticing and starting to get more affectionate, but I've stopped reciprocating, and I just don't want to fall for this again because even though he promises to change, I feel like I'd be stuck in an endless loop of not feeling loved enough. Guess people were right when they said guys lose interest when you love them too much. I can't stay without him, but staying with him hurts me too. Yes, we have our happy moments, and our relationship isn't as bad as it may seem here since I haven't mentioned our good moments, but when we have bad ones, I tend to forget all the good moments we've had. He does make me happy when he tries to, and he knows it. I just wish he did more things like this without me having to ask. Losing him would hurt more than the pain of staying with him, but not being loved as much and you were before hurts too. Any support, advice, motivation, words of kindness, anything at all would be appreciated. I think I just need to hear what people have to say. Is this a normal phase? Is this the end? Do I really have to let go? I don't know anymore. Story, I'm giving my boyfriend one last chance to prove himself. How can I help my relationship? I'm 18-year-old and my BF is 19-year-old. We've been together for 2 years. The first year we never saw each other, but we're very close online. Now we see each other way more often. He lives 2h away and drives here to come see me. We see each other once or twice a month cause we're both busy. Everyone we see each other, it was amazing. How can I help my relationship? I love this guy more than anything, his personality, his hobbies. I like his style, his looks. I just love the type of person he is, and I'm very attracted to him. I've never met anyone like him. Even though me and this guy are in love, I have been very confused by him, or maybe that's how guys are in general. Imagine a pretty solid relationship with a few minor issues here and there. We kept getting closer and he's always talked about me being the one. Me and this guy are very attached to each other and both work for the relationship. BC, I love him. I want the relationship to work so bad, except every few months my BF would change meaning. He would stop doing something or saying something that he would always say to me. I'd notice these changes and point them out and he'd always deny them. Example, after 6 months maybe my BF stopped saying I love you completely. I noticed that and was very concerned when I brought it up to him. He started defending himself by saying I don't believe in saying I love you too much and it's not just a word. When I say it to you, I want to say it only when it's right. Fast forward now, he says I love you normally. Biggest one is when he stopped giving me time, started claiming he's always busy etc. and that he'll give me time later. That all was in the beginning of the relationship. Important, some of them don't exist anymore because after we've talked about them, he did change. The problem is that he changed to late or too slow. Some of these problems he's still working on and some keep repeating. So when I do tell him about these problems, he seems very regretful. He actually does feel bad. He apologizes, and he tries to communicate better with me. This sounds horrible by itself, but during all this, in between those moments he would plan amazing dates, call me, tell me sweet things, tell me how much he loved me. You would joke around etc. He would tell me how important I am to him and much more. We would have deep conversations about these things and he would say I know what I'm doing is wrong, but give me a chance. I'm going to do better and I'm going to show you that I'm going to change and do what you want for this relationship. Constantly we would talk about these problems. He would say he doesn't want to lose me. Our relationship was tested when he lied about not having gaming friends that are girls behind my back. I found texts on his phone talking to these girls. They were minor, only some crossing the line for me personally, but he didn't cheat. From then we've been trying to work on our relationship. This guy cried and begged for a chance. He did the impossible for me to stay with him, promised me the world, and promised me a better life with him. Unfortunately, after that he got into some family trouble and I was out of the country, so I could not really see the progress because we were both tremendously busy. From then it's been foggy. His phone is clear now. I checked it, he's loyal, but the problem is the way he acts on not being treated right. I need time, attention, and care. How relationship would be great, I've noticed, and we both know this for sure, that he is the reason that our relationship keeps declining. He can't name one thing that I've done wrong. But he keeps messing up constantly and I keep giving him chances, so this is the last chance I'm giving him. Yes, I could have left, but I am in love after all. I look into his eyes and feel weak. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing, or why he's not just simply changing his ways and becoming a better boyfriend. He says he will, so I wait and wait. I've waiting with him, thought his training and much more, and I'm still not fulfilled. Story, I don't mesh well with my husband's friends following some incidents. Do I just deal or decline to hang? Husband's friends and I don't mesh. Gave them a free couch and received no thank you. He wants to hang out with them, but I am not interested. Do I suck it up and hang or no? My 48-year-old husband, 48-year-old, and I have been married for 14 years. His best friend Peter, 48-year-old, was the one who introduced us, so we go back quite a ways. About 8 years ago he went through a divorce and is now with a new lady, 49-year-old, I'll call Judy. I don't have much in common with either of them. Peter is a bit of a conspiracy theorist who thinks the moon landing is fake. He never pushed it on us, so I just kept the peace. However, I started to have an issue with him when 2 summers ago we were all talking and the subject of R. Kelly came up. Peter said he had no issues with the guy's personal life because he can separate the artist from his transgressions. I was countering that I can't listen or support an artist like that, especially one who has been convicted of child sex crimes. The convo was going nowhere and he was doubling down on it, so I just dropped it. I stopped inviting them over, but my husband continued to hang out with them. A year goes by and my husband asked to invite them over. I figured bygones, so we went ahead and invited them. Things went fine and we were all sitting on our couch. Judy was commenting how much she would love to have a couch like ours since they just moved in together and she wanted to decorate their place to make it more homey. Since we were already thinking of getting a new one, I offered ours to them free of charge. The couch was in great condition, we just wanted a new style. She was so excited and told me to tell her once we found our replacement she'd arrange to pick it up. A few weeks go by and we find the new couch. I told her right away and we arranged the weekend for the pickup, which was 2 weekends away. Cut to the day before the pickup, she starts blowing up my phone asking me about dimensions. Do I think the truck they are renting will be the right size, and how she can't come till a certain time due to the rental truck place ECT. Then she was flat out saying they would have to reschedule, but I said that would be tough because my new couch was coming in a few days and I had no room to hold 2 couches. I told her to ask Peter to contact my husband direct because 1, I wasn't home to measure, and 2, I had no idea. That was the last communication I had with her. I call my husband to tell him and he's like, don't worry about it, I talked to Peter, they are coming today. I was a little annoyed because she had all this time to ask these things and coordinate, but left it till the last minute. So here is my beef. I would have expected some sort of thank you. I don't mean a gift thank you, just a text of hey, the couch looks great in our place, thank you so much. Instead I got crickets, no thank you, not a zip. My husband was like, Peter said thanks to me when he picked it up, that should be enough. Am I being unreasonable here? I was the one who offered it to them free of charge. I was the one who let her know we had the replacement and scheduled the date for the pickup. I am just salty over how they didn't even show any level of appreciation. Since then, I just don't want to hang with them, coupled with Peter's beliefs, they just aren't who I would choose to spend time with. My husband thinks I am being overly sensitive about it. He wants them to come over again, but I have nothing in common with them, and after this last incident I just don't care to associate with them. My husband has free range to hang with them anytime, but I don't want to invite them over. So what would you all do in this situation? Story: should we break up? Here is my situation. I, 30-year-old, am dating a guy, 34-year-old, I met about 5 months ago. We clicked and it was going well for the most part. However, lately, I've been feeling a strong urge to end the relationship. He hasn't done anything wrong and there are no big red flags. Just some little things like, he always talks about how supportive and helpful he can be to me, and how friends and family always rely on him for things. So one time I mentioned I was having car troubles, nothing major like an oil change equivalent, and he got excited and started talking about how he will fix it for me, how his love language is acts of service and he is the kind of guy that will surprise me and fix things without me asking. It's now been 3 weeks and he hasn't attempted a fix. I ended up doing it myself, which I was fine doing in the first place. Writing this out makes me feel like an entitled person, but I wasn't asking him to fix it, he just offered and didn't go through with it. He doesn't ask interesting questions. I mean, we had the basic get-to-know-you stuff when we first started dating. But sometimes when I try to share something, he kind of cuts me off saying he knows all about it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, because it would be like a niche topic from my work. I feel like he isn't curious. I have an advanced degree and sometimes I worry he doesn't want to ask questions that sound stupid. I think he is a smart man and I'm always excited to talk about things I'm working on / reading / watching, but he doesn't show interest. The mansplaining. The other day he insisted on explaining to me how an umbrella works when we were getting out of the car on a rainy day. I know how to use an umbrella. I called him out on this, and he responded that he was just trying to help. He is a little high maintenance. We went out of town together for 2 days. When we got to the hotel, he spent 20 minutes arranging his bedside table just right. Another example is in the 5 months we've dated, he has only slept over twice at my place. It's always expected that I spend the night at his place. His excuse is that he has a house, I live in a rented apartment, and my apartment is too small. Mind you, I live alone in a 2B2B and it's well kept. I think he is just more comfortable being home. I have to say though that he is always a good host when I'm there. He doesn't like trying new things. I feel like I'm always advocating for trying new restaurants or new activities. He has lived in the same town all his life and has just settled into a routine and way of life. When I talk to him about this, he always answers that he loves trying new things and will focus on doing that. Then he doesn't go through with it. You might be thinking 5 months is not a lot of time and I should just move on if I don't feel a spark. But I'm worried I'm getting into this pattern of seeking an unrealistic perfect relationship. In the past 2 years, I have met a couple of other guys that were decent people that I broke up with after 2 to 5 months because of little things like this. I have also hit my 30s and really want to get my life together. So here are my questions. Are these good enough reasons to break up? Am I settling if I stay in this relationship? Should I count my losses and move on? Do I need a reality check because he is actually a good person? Is it fair to him to stay in the relationship if I feel like I'm settling? I am in therapy where I've discussed my relationships and relationship styles, but I wanted to vent and get some outsider internet opinions. Dating someone for 5 months, and I feel like I'm settling. There are no major red flags, should I move on? Story, I'm F24, scared and excited about this next step. My BF, F24. Hey everyone, my boyfriend and I have been friends for 3 years and together for 1. We have the same friend group and everyone says how we are perfect for each other and we feel the same way. We're both ready for a change as our friend group has fallen apart, our city is extremely crowded, and we dislike our jobs. I've lived in this city my entire life and need to leave. I currently live with my parents, who support me financially on some things. I always pay them back, but I've been eager to move out permanently for years. My home environment is toxic due to my dad's mental abuse, cheating on my mother, etc. I've experienced a lot trauma here. Additionally, I have a restraining order against my ex who has been showing up to where I am, which adds to my desire to leave this city. In the past, I have lived with girl roommates for 5 months and my ex for a few months during COVID. I never planned on living with him permanently. I'm excited but nervous. I genuinely want this, but it's happening so soon. My BF's parents helped him co-sign for a nice beach house about 2 hours from my city, so it's nice because I don't have to sign my name or pay a lot. I will be helping with rent, groceries and utilities, but it would be much cheaper than getting a place on my own or with a roommate. Here are some pros to us moving. I have about 2K in savings and a good credit score. I just paid off my car and my college is also covered by scholarships. Has about 5K in savings and no debt. We have future plans and have been planning for a while. I'm in a 2-year graphic design program to get my degree finished and he's becoming manager of a very big restaurant. I will only be an hour drive from my school, same distance from where I am now. He's very good with his money and clean. He's an amazing chef and cooks for me every day. He's responsible and a hard worker. We barely argue and my family loves him. His family loves us together and will help us with anything that we need. Whenever we have argued, we have always been able to communicate and move forward. We will have a house on the beach in a very rich city with plenty of graphic design opportunities for me. He is even making me an art room so I can have my own space. He's the best guy I've ever dated. End of next year we want to get engaged and then around 27 get married. We both want a cat, have plans for what we to do after I graduate and want to spend our lives together. We both want kids around 30 after we are settled in our careers and have traveled more. Here are the cons. I am scared and so is he. This is a huge commitment. My therapist said I should go for it and some of my close friends and sister think it's a great idea and deserve it. Other friends say that he's rushing me and that I'm too young. They say I should wait more than a month even though he says we should just go for it. My mom will prob be supportive but I know my dad won't. He will prob start a fight or completely cut me off financially. I'm prepared for that. This will be my third time moving out. Although the past two weren't going to be permanent, this one most likely is. It will be embarrassing if we break up and I have to return home for the third time. I will be 2 hours from my family and friends. I have to leave in a month, that's about it. I'm extremely nervous and I guess I'm seeking out advice to make sure if I'm doing the right thing. I want to follow my heart, but I want to make sure it'll be okay. I've been betrayed and hurt a lot in the past and I'm just worried. How do you guys think I should go about this? Is it too soon? DRBF and I have been together for a year and are ready to move out together another 2 hours from our hometown. We have a lot figured out and our relationship is wonderful, but I'm nervous. Story: I blew my chance with a girl, I get too nervous, what do I do? Hey guys, I'm 21-year-old from an Asian country. Here in Asia, the love culture is pretty similar across countries like Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Singapore, India, etc. You know how it is with girls here. Anyway, here's what happened. I'm a college student leading a pretty boring life, you know how it goes. I've had some relationships in the past that I wouldn't really call relationships, more like high school stuff that I did not like. After that, I kinda swore off relationships altogether. There were many attractive girls in my college, but I never bothered to pursue any, either did they. I just didn't think it was for me. My class was filled with all kinds of girls, but recently, there's this one girl, 21-year-old, in my class. She's really good looking but super quiet. Not shy quiet, just talks very little. One day, out of the blue, she texts me. We had a college group, so it wasn't hard for her to get my number. I thought it was just a casual text. The next day, I went to college. Before this, she was just another girl for me, but now suddenly, because of that hi-hello texting, if I saw her, I had to speak to her, no other option. I went inside the class, saw her, and for some reason, I acted as if nothing happened and just went to my bench. The same evening, I was walking in the corridor. I saw her coming from the front. Now I had to initiate a convo because, come on, she texted me yesterday. But no, I smiled at her and walked away. Felt awkward but told myself it wasn't a big deal. She kept texting after that. The tension in class was real, I didn't know how to act around her anymore. She is often alone in the class, so one day, I mustered up the courage to say hello in person, and it was the most awkward conversation of my life. I could tell she was very nervous, and so was I. Speaking to any other girl was okay, but to her, it was just different. I'd rate myself a solid 6 out of 10 in terms of looks, just my opinion. She, on the other hand, is a solid 9/10. I felt like she was making a move, but honestly, why would she try to hit on me? We kept texting every few days, but I was clueless about her hints. Sometimes, I even left her on scene a few times. I thought maybe she was just being friendly, but deep down, I knew that a silent girl like her wouldn't text me every day if she didn't like me in some way. So, one day after college, as I'm heading home, I get this call from an unknown number, probably her second line. I pick up, and guess what? It's her. First time she's called me, and man, I'm nervous as hell. But, even with all the nerves, I managed to keep the conversation going. And then out of the blue, she says, "Hey, nothing much, just called to ask if you're free for coffee?" And what do? I panic and tell her I'm busy when I'm actually free as a bird. Ugh, I know, major mistake. Turning down a date when someone's into you is like the worst move ever. I feel like such a coward now. She's literally my dream date, I couldn't ask for anyone better. But here I am, a total scaredy cat too afraid to ask her out again. Help me out, guys. What should I do now? Why do I get so nervous? She's just a human, lol. 21-year-old with little dating experience is interested in a quiet classmate, 21-year-old, who has been showing interest. Nervousness led to turning down a coffee date. Seeking advice on how to make things right and ask her out again. Story: brother is becoming red pill-y and I don't know what to do about it. My 28-year-old brother, 24-year-old, has become hard to talk to lately because he has such extreme critical views of women. I don't understand how he can have such a skewed view, and so vehemently spew toxic rhetoric. And I wish I knew how to bridge the gap. Is there a way to do this? Or do I have to wait for him to find himself? Am I overreacting at his statements? He is so extreme in his view on women that it has softened my hatred of men, which stemmed from being abused over and over by different men, because I felt like I was looking in a mirror reversed. In every other aspect he is very forward-thinking and liberal. But when it comes to women, it feels like he has lost his ability to critically think. We all rise together when we tackle issues facing people because of gender stereotypes. He believes that is me being an apologist and not giving men's issues the space they need. But these issues are inherently interconnected. He has some points, in fact, at the very basis, many of his beliefs I also agree with. But the way he chooses to interpret them, as well as view the root cause and solution, is wildly different from me, and he gets so aggressive, or passionate, that I have started avoiding him and the topic. My special interest is psychology, and I have a dual degree in it. I also have a special interest in abuse, and have studied a wide variety of resources and materials on this topic. This isn't to say he can't be educated. I just believe my evidence shouldn't be discounted, as I have worked so hard to understand this topic. So to constantly have any of what I would venture to say expertise spat on and told I absolutely know nothing about these topics feels harsh. My reality has been being abused by men, and watching my sisters and mother be abused by men. From my point of view, which isn't absolute truth, my brother's reality includes being loved and supported by most of the women in his life, including his sisters and aunts, who struggled to survive adulthood and didn't want him to struggle alone. We have always made sure he had help and guidance that we didn't get, because we were expected to figure things out on our own. So to hear him say no woman has ever listened to his feelings, while he pours out his feelings to me, is demeaning. We were all abused by my mother. However, my mother held very sexist beliefs, and he was the youngest, so he was adored and treated special until all the sisters had moved away, at which point, as abusers often do, my mother turned her abuse on him full force. I know this has caused issues with how he views women and mothers. He says things that sound misogynistic and even has started to sound a lot like my abusive exes, which has caused me to start resenting him because the way he treats me sometimes feels like a, albeit smaller, less intense, echo of the way my abusive exes treated me, and it makes me angry that he judged me for staying so long with these men when he sometimes sounds/treats me like they did. I feel like I was primed to accept the mistreatment, and he played a small part in that. For example, he says women have it better than men, and now men are the disadvantaged group. It feels like women are taking our gerbs. We grew up in the Bible Belt where women were told they couldn't perform jobs like being a doctor or firefighter, and had to be subservient to men. I struggled when I went to school because in STEM classes, men are the majority and they still heckle women for being there. The girls in my family all were expected to maintain the households and get perfect grades and work their butts off to graduate college, because it was instilled in us that nothing was going to be handed to us for free. Versus the boys, who were allowed to diddle-dally along through life and now struggle because they didn't graduate, can't maintain a household, and so on. I can see that this sexism caused problems both ways. It hurt both the girls and boys in my family in different but equally impactful ways. It is wild to me that even with all this history, He somehow believes within a few short years women have become the dominant group and men are now the minority group. He believes many men are single because women have it easier in the dating world, which at face value may be true. However, he doesn't see the connection between women no longer wanting to clean up after men, and that is a huge factor and why women are choosing to stay single. Instead, it is because of how evil feminism is at vilifying men. He seems to believe women are more shallow and he is single because they inherently view all men as rapists, or expect them to have tons of money. I want to ask him if he would date a woman in his position. The answer would be no, but I'm not wanting to hurt his self-esteem. He will often convey his feelings by yelling or being hateful. When I explain I can't meet him on solid ground when he is doing this, he starts ranting about how this is another tactic of women. Feminists. Men are viewed as inherently dangerous and can't share their feelings without being labeled violent. No, you can share your feelings, but screaming is violent. When I scream or am mean, I am immediately shut down and have learned to communicate better. It is on him to learn to communicate better. Insulting is not sharing feelings. Only sharing your feelings to make a point is not sharing your feelings. Women want to hear your feelings, but it is important to recognize the difference between sharing feelings and being a jerk. I pretty much have to clean the entire apartment myself. He gets angry and says I don't recognize his contributions, and that it isn't my fault I have higher standards. Then continues to leave chores for me. And he doesn't see the connected between the fact that he as a man can just do that, choose to not clean and know that the nearest women will pick up the slack. He keeps citing a vague statistic that claims women abuse men more often, which in my experience is a statistic that has only ever been used to put women down, not lift men up. Men do get abused, and do deserve more widely accessible resources for that, but I have researched and studied and continue to find the same statistics, that even when accounting for forced penetration and unreported assaults, these crimes are by a wide majority perpetrated by men. This is important to recognize when trying to come up with solutions, because it indicates social and cultural differences that allow for this huge difference to exist, and which if tackled may lead to improvement. It is like he is in an internet vacuum that is saying it is women's fault that you don't have the job you want, or the relationship you want, etc. It is turning him increasingly toxic. I really want advice on how to navigate this without continuing to feel mistreated or resentful. My brother has started spouting women-hating rhetoric, and it is straining our relationship. Story: my girlfriend, 31F, and I, 30F, recently started having problems with our long-distance, 2 hours, KT polyamorous relationship. Things related to cutting back on communication, how much I get to see her, as well as the So some backstory: I have autism, social anxiety, and ADHD and have never been able to get a partner or make many friends. My whole life I could never fit in, was bullied for being too feminine, and could never figure out the complicated feelings about my identity since I was 8. I came out as a trans woman around 2019, and 2022 to 2023 when I felt comfortable with my progress I finally started being able to live life basically. Going outside, sort of talking to people, feeling comfortable wearing slightly feminine clothes and makeup. But I still lack friends and a support network. I have no LGBT+ community in this small Texan town in the middle of nowhere, and the 2 trans people that I managed to befriend in 4 years all left me. They were like giant stars in my night sky, and I think I pushed them away by overwhelming them with my intimate feelings. And my social anxiety and gender dysphoria cripples my self-confidence and self-esteem a lot of the time. My girlfriend similarly says her life didn't start till 2022 to 2023 because of transitioning. But she has had many friends and connections in her life, even since college. She has a partner of 10 years, 2 of those years married. Successful background in computer science. No struggle when it comes to finances, etc. Been dating my girlfriend almost 4 months now. We met on her lesbian dating app, sort of clicked being the only 2 Asian trans women on the app. We talked a lot, hit it off, and I eventually drove 2 hours to see her in the big city after a week or two of us talking non-stop lovey-dovey on Discord. Our first date was amazing even if it was just the mall and boba. She was so beautiful, intelligent, and made me feel cared for. And something so simple like being able to lay my head on her lap became a cherished memory for me. I drove up there to see her every 2 weeks since. We moved very fast because of how infatuated we were, mine still going particularly strong, while hers became more stable about a month or two ago. She said her infatuation for me not being strong anymore wasn't an indication of her losing love for me, but a sign her love for me was strong and stable, no longer overwhelmed by the anxiousness infatuation brings. Every day we'd text on Discord. Good mornings, good nights, I love yous, nice conversations about our day or things going on every 2 or 3 hours. And we agreed to do a weekly video call every Wednesday because the time in between my visits was lonely and I wanted to see her face and spend time doing fun stuff like gaming with her for a few hours. When I was there with her, we'd plan our 2 days together around cool places to go get food and try new tastes, fun things like thrifting for clothes or her introducing me to LGBT+ spaces to make up for what I didn't have in my city, or trying to get me to meet and talk with her friends or her non-binary partner. Or we'd spend some time at her house just cuddling in bed and doing other intimate things. Eventually we started having tiny problems that kept piling up. The first was that I was texting her a lot and expecting fast responses. She has a remote job and only works 6-ish hours, but I know that's no excuse. She says she's never been a big texter, not even with her married partner, but for me texting is on par with showing love, like quality time together but digital. The second was that I was asking to see her too much, and she said spending 2 whole days with me is overwhelming enough as it is because she usually plans things for the whole month for every day and hour. She says she cherishes her friends as much as her relationships, and dedicates hanging out with them for a few hours every week on specific days. She says me living in her city would be more ideal for her type of scheduling and quality time together. She also says she needs her alone time, which she rarely gets because of how her schedules are set up. The third was that she was being overwhelmed by my love for her. Mostly when I would say things like "you're the only one for me" type statements or "you're my one true love," a life partner, I would always tell her about how happy she made me, how I feel no one else could ever come close to her. Eventually, starting 10 or so days ago, a mixture of these 3 things resulted in her saying she's de-escalating our relationship. She says we're still girlfriend and she still loves me romantically and sexually, but she doesn't see me as a life partner anymore, someone she can grow with and be there in her life for a long time. She says that if I lived in the same city as her this could possibly change, but she's not promising anything because it's unfair to do so. That there are many things she can't do over the internet, like conflict management. She says if she didn't set these new boundaries going forward, her love for me was going to continue waning like it's been for a while, which she didn't tell me, and that she hopes by keeping me at an arm's length, that she'll be able to slowly recover her love for me. The first boundary she set is that I can't expect her to reply to my messages within a set time anymore. And she said she doesn't want to be expected to say good night and good morning every day because they felt like obligations. I never made her. I feel it's unfair because she does it with her partner all the time, whom she lives with. I never used to say good morning or good night before I met her. I don't even do it with my parents when I'm living with them. But it's become a thing of affection for me to say it to the person I love now. It just feels like she's trying to cut me out of her life more than I already am, thanks to us being long distance. If someone is your partner, shouldn't you try to incorporate them into your life, not cut them out? It just feels like she only wants me to be in her life for certain parts. The second boundary is that she's increasing the time between visits from every 1.5 to 2 weeks to 2 to 3 weeks. She says it's because she needs alone time and time to decompress, and that seeing me so frequently was overwhelming her. She also says that when I see her again things are going to change from how it was before, but has yet to figure it out. I think she's trying to make it so we don't just have a whole day of the visit being just us being in the house, canceling our plans to go be lovey-dovey on the bed. And the third boundary was what I mentioned earlier, refraining from "you're my life partner, the only one for me" type statements. She says she doesn't see me as someone she can grow with and be in her life a long time. But how can we be in a relationship if she doesn't see me as someone she can grow with? How's it going to thrive and not stagnate with no growth? And there's obviously a ton more context for why we've been rocky, like how I'm lacking life experience, or how an argument we had about beauty standards for women made her feel bad about her own body and that I didn't comfort her right or see her point, which she attributes to us still being fresh in a relationship and me not knowing when to try to make her feel better and when to just listen. TLDR, I feel like my kitchen table polyamorous relationship is really rocky right now, and because of my own shortcomings, and how it makes me needy, it's overwhelming her to the point she had to set new boundaries, but these new boundaries feel extremely unfair to me and feels like it's just benefiting her and there's no middle ground we reach together, and it's causing me to feel like she doesn't love me and is aiming to break it off. Story: I, 24M, think I don't love my girlfriend, 26F, anymore. Can anyone give me advice on how to get out of this? I, 24-year-old, have been with my girlfriend, 26-year-old, for about 3 years now. I don't think I love her anymore. I feel stressed when she is around. I enjoy being by myself more. I have tried everything to fix this. We've had long and hard discussions about how we can fix it. We've tried to spice things up. We've tried, and I'm so tired of trying. I don't think she is a good person. I often feel like the Jiminy Cricket on her shoulder, like she looks to me for advice on what the right thing to do is. She works dead-end jobs with no aspirations of doing anything with her life. She smokes so much and I am sick of breathing it in. She often tries to make me feel bad for having a dream for my life. Once, she smashed a glass on her forehead so I would stop talking about how unhappy I was with our relationship. I feel so clocked out, but I'm so scared to break up. I realize that I'm the only one standing in my way, but I've never had to do this before. My past relationships lasted only 1 month to 3 months, so this feels different. I often fantasize about having an affair or being with someone else. I don't want to have sex with her anymore, and I fantasize about being with someone else when we do. It feels like a chore to even kiss her. She likes to make it out that I've never done anything for her, but I've taken her on dates, we've traveled together, I cook and clean, I've taken care of her, all while trying to balance it with my work life. She makes me feel worthless. She hates taking care of me when I'm sick. She refused to get me medicine once when it was raining, so I had to walk in the rain while ill to get my own medicine. She's so lazy. She's the laziest person I know. As I type this out, I'm realizing so much I don't like about her. She doesn't exercise and hates any and all physical activity. I love being active, and she would never play a game or do a sport with me. She flirts with other men to get a rise out of me and even gaslights me when I catch her. Honest to God, the biggest reason why I stay with her is because it'd be too expensive and a hassle to move. But I think I have to nut up and just take the financial hit because I am so depressed. There is no love anymore. I feel dead to the relationship. When a close family member passed away, their first response was, "Hey, pal. How's it hanging?" There is no empathy. There is no room for my feelings. There is no room for me to grow or feel good. It's all just a never-ending pit. She is the most miserable person I know. She is jealous and petty and judgmental. She embarrasses me in front of people I like by saying personal stuff about me. She is cruel and a small person in character. I don't respect her. I think it's time to end it. I think it's time to start over. It's just so hard to think about having to begin again. I am scared and worried and don't know what to do, but at the same time I know exactly what to do. What do you all think? I really need other people to motivate me out of this, as I can't do this alone. I don't like my partner anymore for many reasons, and I am too anxious to leave. Story: I got drunk and slept with my boss. How do I talk to him about it? I've a 26-year-old, got drunk and slept with my boss, 32-year-old, and I don't know what to do about it. I've never done anything like this before. This past Tuesday was a really bad day at work. We got threatened with a lawsuit, and on top of that, everything else seemed to be going wrong. Work ends late for us. My boss and I were the last ones there. We had been talking about how we needed a drink all day long, and that was going to be the first thing we both did as soon as we got home. It was just one of those days. So he invited me to go grab a drink. This isn't super unusual for the people I work with. We all actually like each other, for the most part, and some people hang out outside of work. I've never gone out for a drink with him solo though. So we went to a nearby bar. I had a few drinks. It doesn't take too much for me to get drunk, but normally I have full control over myself, like I just don't get that drunk that I do embarrassing things. Well, I rarely get that drunk, let's say. Can't claim it's never happened. Having sex with a coworker or a random person is definitely not something I've ever done when drinking. We ended up back at his place and had sex. I slept there, and the next day I could remember the details clearly enough. It was so embarrassing. I woke up at around 5 a.m. and got an Uber back to work where my car was and went home before I had to be at work for the day on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we avoided each other the best we could and only spoke briefly when it was absolutely necessary for the job. Luckily, I had pre-scheduled vacation time Thursday and Friday, but I work again tomorrow. The anxiety of facing him again is making me sick. And I'm sitting here at home wondering if everyone knows. What if he told somebody? The thing is that I was very attracted to him, but he was my boss, so what could I do? I also could never tell if he was interested in me at all because he's sort of aloof and it's hard to gauge him sometimes. We got along great though, and this is the best place I've ever worked, so I don't want this to completely screw all of that up. What's the appropriate thing to do here? I feel like I should say something to him about it, but I don't know what to say or how to bring it up. Maybe I should just not mention it and continue to let things stay awkward indefinitely, but it's so uncomfortable. I want to just clear the air about it, but what do I even say? I got drunk and slept with my boss. Now things are really awkward at work. I want to talk to him about it to maybe clear the air, but I don't know how to bring it up or what to say. Story: girlfriend keeps attacking me, exposed due to insipid replies. She has done it before too. I, 33-year-old, am stronger than her, 33-year-old, so she can't really hurt me unless she actually uses a weapon, but it's still not nice at all when she screams so loudly that my ears hurt. I am very sensitive to loud noise usually anyway, and then comes and attacks me. The first time she did it last week, she actually drew blood from scratching my arm, and the marks are still there 2 weeks later. The physical attacks started 2 weeks ago. She's a worrier, and I opened up to her and told her that because she worries so much about certain things, there are times when I'm afraid to share certain details about my life for fear that her response will actually just make the situation harder for me. I also told her that I've started getting rushes of adrenaline, like butterflies, in response to fairly normal stimuli. For example, when my phone rings, my stress hormones are out of whack entirely. She didn't like that at all and responded with rage about how I never address her emotions. She left it about that vague. When I tried to drill down, I got only more vagueness. After a while I asked her why we're talking about her emotions when I'm the one raising the problem, and she said we discussed my problem and it's dealt with now. I can't remember what triggered it, but soon after that she pounced on me and scratched me, and I said to never do it again, but she did it again the next day and then a few days after that, as well as smash things around our apartment. Her reasons for doing so are vague and unclear to me. And her apology includes rationalizing her behavior by saying she is stressed. We both are. We're buying a flat together that is supposed to complete in 2 weeks, and that it's my fault for goading her. By goading she means me trying to ignore her insults. Obviously I am not without blame here, but really I was trying my best. I was a very good boyfriend to her. I went on fun adventures with her. I do way more than my share of the cleaning. I cooked a delicious home-cooked meal from scratch 5 to 6 times a week, as well as bring her lunch each day when she works from home. I do the shopping for said meals. I listened to her. And I generally loved her very well. Of course, she had things to bring to the relationship too. To add significant insult to injury, I am killing myself trying to run the release of an app one built from scratch. It's not a crazy amount of money, but it started to bring in about $4,000 revenue per month, which I obviously hope to grow further, and I feel that a big break is coming. What I'm really proud of though is that some of my users message me directly and tell me how much the app has helped them, which is so important to me. I've worked on this app harder than I've worked on anything my whole life, and a few nights ago, after the 3 physical attacks, she called me a scrub, meaning a low-life dirty jobless man. I snapped at this point and haven't spoken to her since. I have been locked in my room all day and she is trying to lure me out by leaving chocolates and water outside my door, and I just can't stand it and have nowhere to go. She has been funding the deposit for a new flat and paying for lawyers, etc. She's a lawyer actually, so she makes a decent salary, and honestly at this point already I am starting to feel financially trapped. I feel cheated. I know women can give their man some shit sometimes, but this is too much and I just don't deserve it. I know I don't. She is extremely stressed with the flat, even more than I am, as it has been a messy and heartbreaking process that has lasted for 5 fucking months now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because I am leaving her. I know now for certain after writing this that I need to leave her, but I'm in a fucked up situation now where I'm not making quite enough to rent a place with any ease at all in my current city, so I will need to legally pull out of buying the flat. I need to sell all of my stuff, and I will need to move to a different city where things are much cheaper. Bye and see you again in the next videos and stories.